Buying a new construction home, what incentives are you missing out on? Let's go through all the builder incentives so that you don't leave money on the table. There are a variety of incentives that builders offer. So you have closing cost incentives, you have lower interest rate incentives, design center credits, maybe even they throw in an appliance package like your refrigerator and washer and dryer, maybe even some window coverings. Or if they're getting really creative, they might even throw in the landscaping for your backyard. So you want to make sure that whatever those incentives are that they're offering, and who knows, maybe there's some that I haven't even heard of yet, but you don't want to go in not knowing what you could be asking for, because that is leaving money on the table. So why do builders offer incentives? Well, number one, they want to get you through the door, and offering incentives is a great way to do it. But besides that, many times they'll offer incentives when the market is slow. Maybe they're seeing that they're not closing as many sales as they were in the previous quarter. So they'll add additional incentives to their roster. There also could be things like maybe a presidential election is coming up, like right now. Or are they looking at the seasonal changes and they're slower maybe in the summertime in Las Vegas? These are all things that could have them bring incentives into play. Then you have, maybe it's the end of the month, or is it the end of their fiscal year? Because all of those reasons, especially if things are slower, will allow them to offer more incentives to the buyers. And a specific example is Lennar, that is based in Florida, and we just had a bunch of hurricanes run through Florida. And because of that, they're actually offering incentives to the western states because they need to boost their sales for this quarter. So let's get into some specifics of what this actually looks like for you. So your closing cost incentive is going to be 2 to 3% usually of the purchase price of your home. So if you're buying $1 million home, that's $20,000 to $30,000 that the builder is actually picking up the tab for you. And that usually covers for closing costs your lender fees, your title and escrow fees, the transfer tax. It could be some upfront HOA dues. That's all what would be considered a closing cost. Then you have an upgrade incentive. And usually what that is it's a dollar amount. It's not a specific, like you can get this type of flooring or that type of cabinet. It's a dollar amount. So whether that's $25,000 or $50,000, that's kind of like monopoly money that you can go pay for these upgrades in your home without that money coming out of your pocket. And while this might not be an incentive, I think it's important to talk about is your warranties. So your warranties end up being on your structural, which is like your roof trusses, any load-bearing walls, your foundation. Then you have other warranties like your HVAC unit, your furnace, your appliances. You're going to want to make sure to send in all of those manufacturer warranties because that's who's going to warranty those items. Now, they're being used by QR code. It used to be you had a coupon that you filled out your information and you mailed into the company. Well, now they're all QR codes. Each appliance is going to have a QR code for you to scan, fill out your information, and that is going to serve as confirmation that you filled out your warranty information. So make sure that you do it. And if you have an appliance that you don't see that QR code on, make sure that you ask your customer service representative for the builder where you can find that QR code, because sometimes they like to hide them. Then on other things like maybe paint or stucco or things that are more of a cosmetic nature, or even under your sink there's a leak or something along those lines, usually there is what in the car world would be considered a bumper-to-bumper coverage. But please see what that is with your specific builder, because some builders cover things that others don't. If you're new to my channel, I'm Eileen Guilbeault. I'll be your go-to real estate advisor for all things relocating to Las Vegas. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified every time a new video is online. Let's continue. You can always negotiate your upgrades. You can negotiate your lots. But remember that incentives with builders come and go. So just because today they're offering one incentive, that doesn't mean that when you're ready a month from now, that same incentive will be there. And where this can factor into your decision-making process is if you need a specific interest rate that they're offering today to get into that home. Because if the interest rate goes up, you may not be able to qualify for that home. So don't base your buying decisions on the incentives. Make sure that whenever you go to buy a new construction home, that the incentives don't have that much weight on your decision making, because they may not be there when you're finally ready. And what is the role of a realtor during this process? Well, as you know, buying a home is a very emotional process. So I am there as your emotional buffer to already have the knowledge of why you are buying this home, why it is so important to you, and keeping all of those emotions on track to get you to the finish line. You have no idea how much that one thing is going to come in handy during this process. Another thing is the relationship that I have with these on-site sales agents is very beneficial to you. So I have their names, their phone numbers, their email addresses so that I can communicate with them anything that might be happening during this process that we need someone to take some action on. So that is a huge benefit. Then knowing the timelines, the process itself, what it takes to get you from start to finish is a huge advantage for any one of my clients who chooses to use me. And negotiating maybe a lot that they're having a hard time selling. Did you know that you can put an offer on lots? Sometimes if they have let that lot sit long enough, they'll actually take offers, which will save you money in the long run. Pop quiz. Let's test your builder incentive knowledge. So what do builders actually offer as incentives? Is it number 1, design credits? Is it number 2, lower interest rate? Maybe number 3, they change all the time. Or number 4, all of the above. Make sure to leave a comment below, and the first one to answer correctly gets a personal shout out from me. Here are a few other things to keep an eye on that could end up backfiring on you when it comes to builder incentives. Remember that if the builder is giving you something, they're also getting something in return. So what is that? There is a give and take. And are you willing to actually give them what they want in return for the incentive that you're giving? So a couple of those things might look like you being required to use their lender. And at times, the lender's deals aren't as good as if you hired a local lender. And you are going to be required to use their title company. Again, are those fees higher or lower? You need to really take a look at what that means for you long term as far as the numbers. Do they pencil out? Does it make sense for you to take that lender incentive if it means paying a little bit more money down the line? There is always that give and take. And always consider the long-term impact of accepting those builder incentives, because you could get a design credit, but you may not find anything at the design center that you really are in love with. So you also have the option of bringing in a contractor, bringing in an interior designer to really bring your vision to life. And at times, I've found that doing it with a contractor and an interior designer actually costs you less than if you go with the design center. But keep in mind, if you use the design center, all of that money can get added onto your mortgage. If you are using a contractor and an interior design, most of the time those things are paid on cash or credit. So those are things to consider, but keep in mind you always have options. Don't just automatically take the incentive and think that that's the only way to do it. For more videos about relocating to Las Vegas and real estate tips, make sure to watch one of the videos on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you the next time.